Welcome to Culture by Neurodesign. I'm Dr. Lisa College. Now, you know how life's big upheavals can shift your perspective? When I discovered that my son's autistic, I realized how much untapped value lies in appreciating and enabling differences. And that insight changed how I parent, and later it changed how I lead in workplaces that are struggling with talent management, innovation, and being able to thrive amid change. And what I learned is that the answers already exist within the talent in those teams. But to unlock their full potential, we need to build bridges. We need to improve communication, we need to embed inclusive practices, and we need to motivate and coordinate meaningful change. Now, I've seen firsthand the incredible impact that this has, not just for neurodivergent people like my son, but for everyone in the team. Engagement, innovation, and adaptability skyrocket measurably when workplaces embrace diverse thinking styles. I'm thrilled to help you to take a similar journey by introducing my practical 12-step guide. Now, it's not another huge burden to add to your already far too long list. It's a simple, manageable way to embed cognitive inclusion into your daily work. With just one step a month, you'll see measurable improvements in innovation and resilience that prepare your team for whatever the future holds. So let's dive in. Now, if you are a very traditional leader and you want to stick with what you know, then this podcast isn't for you. Turn off now. But if you're someone who cares about your team and wants to address challenges like employee burnout, employee disengagement, teams that aren't adapting quickly enough to change, like missed opportunities for innovation, then you're in the right place. Keep listening. So this episode is for leaders of teams or leaders of organizations who know that something's off and they want to make it better. Maybe you see it in the data, maybe you've heard comments during coffee or tea breaks, or maybe it's more intuitive, but if you do want to explore ways to improve that situation in your team, then keep listening. So let me talk about the challenges that many organizations face today, and yours may also be facing the same challenges. The first is innovation and resilience. You might feel stuck. It might be about change that you're driving yourselves because you're implementing a new strategy, or it might be about responding to external disruptors like adapting to emerging tech. Generative AI is on all our minds, I think. Perhaps your team members are sharing new ideas and you don't feel that you're capitalizing on them fully, or perhaps your customers are pushing for new products and services. Whatever it is, without the diverse cognitive styles, that's thinking styles, different ways of interacting with information, and the cognitively inclusive culture to enable them, that research shows is the foundation of being good at responding to change. Teams often repeat mistakes and delay decisions and miss breakthrough opportunities. The second challenge area that I'll talk about is talent opportunities. Now, if you haven't paid attention to your culture, you're probably unintentionally excluding 30% of your talent pool. 30%, 30. That's neurodivergent people, including those with autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. Now, these are people who process information in non-typical ways. They're the most specialized part of that cognitive diversity that I just mentioned. Now, you want to make sure that your teams can tap into this diversity of thought and capitalize on the very specialized strengths that are enriched in neurodivergent talent pools. These will drive originality, systems thinking, big picture problem solving, and more skills that you really want so you can be more innovative. To be able to capitalize on these strengths, you need to design and build a cognitively inclusive culture. Now, it's not going to happen on its own because people naturally resist difference, but you can create it. And my 12-step problem will help you. If you spend a bit of time and effort building cognitive inclusion into your team, you'll experience a stronger, happier team, you'll retain talent for longer, and you'll unlock that hidden potential in your workforce, strengths that you didn't even know were there. The third challenge area is engagement and wellness. Now, when employees are burnt out, when there's low engagement, when there's a lack of psychological safety, that creates disengagement and toxic environments. Employees who are disengaged struggle to communicate effectively, they pull down morale for the whole team, and they contribute to higher absenteeism and employee turnover. It gets worse. A toxic or a disengaged culture doesn't only affect the people who feel that way, it impacts the wellness and mental health of everyone in your team or organization. You know, and I know, right, that it's exhausting to turn up for work every day knowing that this negative atmosphere is inevitably going to drain your energy and drain your enthusiasm. It just becomes about surviving, right, and about looking forward to the days that those people aren't working. And that's a huge problem, of course, for engaging and retaining your talent. Now, as I've described these challenges, you can see they're all interconnected. They're all rooted in team culture, in team dynamics. Now, if what I'm saying resonates with you, trust your instincts. You're right. Give this 12 steps approach I'm talking about a chance. Now, let me go a bit further into why cognitive inclusion matters. Most organizations and the teams within them have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion priorities that target visible diversity dimensions like gender, like ethnicity, like age. And they have targets for representation like 25% of women in leadership by 2028 or whatever. But in doing this, they miss the critical invisible factor of cognitive diversity. And cognitive diversity is universal. It's about the different ways that every single person absorbs, processes, and shares information. It's not tied to specific groups. It's not something that only belongs to neurodivergent people. It's relevant to everybody, regardless of their gender, age, ethnicity, sexuality, disability, educational background, nationality, how many tattoos they have, whatever. Building a cognitively inclusive culture is about getting ahead, accepting that there are cognitive differences in your team, anticipating the fact that your team has those different thinking styles, including neurodivergence, and creating the environment where all of those cognitive styles can thrive and contribute wonderful things to your team outcomes. Now, I know it's very possible that you're tired of diversity programs. Maybe they haven't delivered the results that you hope for, or you feel like you don't have the bandwidth for something new yet again. I hear you. I've been in that situation myself, and I know that sinking feeling that you can get when you see another huge program heading your way without additional resource. But I'm here to tell you, this is different. I know what I'm talking about. I've done it. It's different. And my 12 steps program isn't about diversity for the sake of diversity. Driving cognitive diversity and enabling it in a cognitively inclusive culture is not the goal in itself. It's not the business outcome that we'll report on. Cognitive inclusion is the means to the end. It's a way to solve the problems that we've just outlined: innovation, engagement, and talent optimization. So now perhaps you're thinking, it's not so bad, we'll just keep going. But what's the cost of staying the same? Organizations that don't build cognitively inclusive working environment face serious business risks. Risk one, disengagement. Actively disengage employees. About 18% of the workforce actively pull down morale, collaboration, and productivity for everyone around them. It's like a virus that spreads. Risk two, burnout. 77% of employees, according to Deloitte, report feeling burned out in their current job. 77%. Are these employees giving you their best? Of course they're not. Third risk, turnover. The natural consequence of this disengagement and feeling of burnout is turnover. People have different expectations and values since COVID, and they're more willing to look elsewhere for work-life balance and job satisfaction than the role they have right now. Employee disengagement, which is people just sitting in their role and doing as little as they can, costs US companies between $450 and $550 billion annually. And the fourth risk I'll highlight is stalled innovation. Teams which lack diversity take tens of percentages longer to solve problems, if indeed they can solve them at all, and they're much less likely to find creative solutions. Those are the business risks, but let me also share a couple of real anecdotes to illustrate the more personal cost of staying the same. Take John. John was a commercially successful leader, but he realized he was ignoring input from 5 of his 20 team members because their different communication styles, that's different cognitive styles, felt uncomfortable for him. So working with an inclusion researcher, he agreed to track every team member's contributions during meetings, regardless of whether he acted on those contributions. And a few months later, when he was able to evaluate the outcomes of the decisions that he made, he looked back to see whether those perspectives that he ignored would have improved the outcomes. So to his amazement, he discovered that he wasn't overlooking insights from 5 people, but from 10 people. That's half of his team. And by learning to adapt a more inclusive approach to listening, he improved his decision making, and he was able to lead his already successful team to even greater success. Second example, consider Emma. Emma's a dedicated manager. She stepped up voluntarily when a team lead unexpectedly resigned. And her leadership style is sensitive to personal differences and preferences. And under her leadership, the team achieved record highs in satisfaction and performance. They'd never seen levels like that before in the company. So despite that, she was initially passed over for the role because the decision makers, all men, I don't know if gender played a role as well, but who knows, all men, but they did have very similar cognitive styles to each other. It was very conforming and self-reinforcing. The decision makers failed to recognize the value of her different approach. Now, after that next leader also resigned, Emma was finally given the position, maybe just to shut her up, and her different and empathetic leadership style once again transformed the team's engagement and performance. The metrics proved the power of embracing a mix of thinking styles amongst team leadership. So don't let staying the same and not trying something new be your story. Small changes can make a big difference. Give this a chance. Now let's imagine a workplace that hasn't stayed the same. Let's imagine a workplace that doesn't feel stressful, toxic, disorganized. Instead, it feels fun, focused, innovative. It's built on trust and curiosity and integrity. It's a place where collaboration feels easy and everyone's strengths shine. Now, these aren't my words. They're actually words used by employees across industries and countries to describe how it feels when they're engaged with what you want to achieve. But only 23% of employees globally feel this way. Engagement's in free fall since COVID. Only 23% engaged, with the 18% actively, vocally disengaged, dragging everyone down, means the majority of teams are missing out on this wonderful feeling we've just imagined. You can anticipate the business outcomes that follow when your team feels curious and focused and able to shine. Happy, engaged employees are obviously more productive. They're obviously better at solving problems. They're more attuned to customer needs, and they will be more resilient in the face of change. Your organization becomes not just a better workplace, but a stronger, more innovative, and future-proofed business. And now let's turn to take a look at the new way that I want you to give a chance to, my 12-step program. My 12-step program is about embedding cognitive inclusion as a leadership skill and a team behavior. It's manageable and it's free. And later on, if you want to accelerate, I'll have options for that too. But for now, let's just focus on getting started. Now, step 1 is all about reflection. We're going to be laying the groundwork to create an enabling environment where your team of brilliant, diverse thinkers can thrive together. I'm asking, what are you losing out on because the connections between your team members with their different cognitive styles aren't optimal? It's not about making changes yet. We're identifying opportunities by reflecting on your team's existing dynamics. Now, if you sign up and you get the download, and as you think about your team, I'll ask you to consider, where are the strong points? Where are the connections that feel natural, effective, where team members reinforce each other? And these are what you'll want to protect and build on. I'll also ask you to consider, where is friction holding your team back? It's natural for tension to arise between people with different cognitive styles. Idea generators can easily clash with people who prefer structure, for example. And here's an illustration of the kind of insight that your reflections might uncover. It's a real example kindly shared with me recently. Now I'm quoting. The absolute worst thing I experience are what I call cliffhangers. This is my term for situations when someone says, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something later," without any further context. It activates my hypervigilance and makes me imagine 1,000,000 different awful things that will be said. All it would take is a quick one-sentence description of the purpose of the conversation and what the outcome might be. It's the end of the quote. So this example happens to have been shared by someone with double neurodivergences of ADHD and PTSD, that's post-traumatic stress disorder, but it's relevant to many more people. If you like order and structure, then you'd like to know what that something is that you're going to talk about later. Are you new in your role? Then you'd also like to know, right? So you're not going to be caught off guard. And do you have a packed schedule? Well, knowing a bit about what's coming helps you to prioritize. It reduces stress, which is unnecessary, and it helps you to stay focused on your other priorities in the meantime. So this very small change of just clarifying what you want to talk about later is an example of how taking inspiration from neurodivergent needs can make a workplace more effective for everyone. This is a step towards a cognitively inclusive culture. Small steps like this make people feel supported, empowered, and truly valued. Adopting a behavior like this in your team contributes to that cognitively inclusive culture, where people trust each other, where collaboration thrives, and where everybody is enabled to bring their best. So in this first step, and in every step to come, I offer multiple action tiers, and the option that you select is entirely up to you. The first option is called Do It Your Way. And these are practical actions that you can implement yourself at no cost. They're small, low-risk steps. They don't require any complex tools. They don't require specialized training. And even if you make a small misstep, it doesn't matter. It won't derail your progress. The second action tier option is called Co-Navigator. Now, if you want some light guidance, this also free option offers some personalized support from me. I'll help you stay on track without financial commitment. Now, for step 1, what you'd need to do for Co-Navigator is to email me to request a free handout with some thought starters. And the third option is called Smart Investment. This is about making a strategic, small-scale investment that is going to amplify your progress. It'll build on what you're already doing. For step 1, you can access a presentation that's packed with insights, and it's ideal for building extra knowledge about what we're doing. Now, I've designed steps 2 to 12 to help you evaluate outcomes, test ideas, and grow your efforts incrementally. I want to show you that small, practical changes can deliver quick benefits and also help you to evaluate the extent to which building a cognitively inclusive culture addresses the challenges you're facing and helps you to evaluate the extent to which you want to keep on building it and locking it in. So if you are ready to unlock your team's potential and enjoy all of these benefits, then please sign up for Neuro-inspired 12 Steps to a Future-Proof Workplace Culture. Remember, it's free to start with no commitment. It's just one step a month. They're actionable insights and there'll be measurable outcomes. The link to sign up is in the episode notes, and it's also really easy to find on the services page of my website. Thanks for listening.